power enter button until you hear one beep, please. And once you do that, you should see normal mode, hopefully, at the top. You do? All right, then press your power enter button. Now, if you do not press your power enter button on initial turn on, it's automatically going to go in normal mode. Okay? Can you press the reset button? Thank you. This one needs calibrating. And so, if you don't press anything, it goes into normal mode. If you want to go in leak check mode, you press the down arrow one time, you press the enter button, then it goes into leak check mode. Okay? All right. So it goes through some self warm-up screens. And it's going to come to your display. I don't know. Maybe I need to be over here. You're good. That's okay. All right. So you should come up to a similar screen as this. Please tell me if you don't see this right now. You're not going to have HCN on your display, but you should have the other 5 gases. Okay? All right. So remember we talked about our flammable gas is going to be in percent LEL, our oxygen is in percent by volume, H2SCO and PID is all in parts per million. Now, we do have the capability of actually monitoring it in parts per billion on our PID. That's the reason you see mine a little jumpy there, because it's reading in a part per billion. Okay? All right, so the first thing we would do after we turn the instrument on, we're going to go use it. Now, you have them set up for auto 0, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. With mine, it's not set up with auto 0, but what they saw when they turned theirs on is after it went through its self-test, it would come up and it would do a fresh air 0. All right. So with your units set up that way, if we leave them that way, you want to make sure that you always turn them on in a clean environment. Okay? You don't want to be in the house. You don't want to be near the confined space that you may have to be going into. You want to make sure you're in a clean air environment when you turn it on. Because when you turn it on, it's going to set your oxygen 20.9 and all your other readings to 0. Okay? So if we're outside behind the tailpipe of our truck or engine, when we turn it on, we're going to offset our carbon monoxide for the rest of the day until we turn it off and back on. Okay? All right? Please never bump your units on the tailpipe of your engine. I've had 30 years, I'm telling you, you'd be calling me buying new sensors real quick. So, not that y'all would ever do that, but I'm just saying it has happened. All right. So if you will take your instrument, turn it upside down, please, and tell me if your LCD flips. Okay. Kind of like a cell phone in that scenario is it's going to be one or the other way. If you turn it back up, it'll of course flip back in its original direction. So it does have an LCD flip feature. Fancy. All right, all this is sensor, so I'm going to stop there and just talk about general use.
Doesn't have widescreen option.
Okay, so are you possibly on the call list for industrial folks that would use you as their rescue team? That'd be a ton, right?
Yeah.
So it's very possible, instead of fighting a fire, you could be called for a rescue in a permit required confined space. All right. So OSHA 1910-146 is a permit required confined space. Is that mine? I'm sorry. You failed. It may be low battery. Okay, so 1910-146 is permit required confined space OSHA document. So what we suggest and recommend for confined space entry is you walk up to the confined space. It'll always have a door, a hatch, a manhole cover, whatever it may be. And before you do anything, you detect in that area for 2 minutes. Okay? So you're going to sample around that area for 2 minutes.
Go bailing in there.
Yes, and not even open it, because you could have flammable gas right there, toxic gases that's emitting even before you open it. So then, as an entrant of the confined space, you have the right to say whether I am comfortable to go in that confined space or not. Now, with firefighting, it's a little bit different, right? I mean, you guys are going to go in and rescue if you're on full SCBAs or whatever it may be. By the letter of the law, you have to say, I am comfortable going in that space because we've used a gas detector to make sure I don't have hazardous gases I'm going to be exposed to unless I'm in respiratory equipment. Okay, so we do 2 minutes around the hole. Then what we do is we crack the plane of that hole and we monitor 2 minutes right there. Okay? after that, we're going to drop our hose down the confined space, and we want to stop every 4 feet and sample for 2 minutes plus the length of the hose. Okay? So if we got a 50-foot section hose on there, we want to monitor for 2 minutes and 25 seconds every 4 feet. Why don't we stop every 4 feet?
Because you may have, it's according to what the way that the material is we're measuring for.
That's right. Different gases have different vapor densities, right? So anytime I'm going training, not for fire departments, but a lot of industrial applications, they take the hose, they'll stick it straight down. I ask them, I'll say, show me your confined space, how you enter confined space. They'll take their hose, they'll drop it all the way down, they'll wait 2.5 minutes, they'll pull it back up and say we're good. Well, you very well could pass through a methane, a chlorine cloud, whatever it may be, that's going to be lighter than air, so it's going to rise to the top of the confined space. Okay, that's the reason we stop. Once you get to the bottom, then you get to decide, am I going to continuously, well, it's recommended that you continuously monitor, but whether you're going to continuously monitor by attaching a unit to the individual that's going in, or you're going to have an attendant outside the confined space and they're going to continuously monitor the air in the confined space while you're in it. If you have an attendant outside, you're going to probably pull the hose up about 56 inches off the floor because that's the general average height, and then you're going to just the attendant has to have constant communication with the entrant and be able to communicate to tell them to get out of the confined space if things start to change. Any questions on that? Okay. All right. So we're in our real-time screens now, and I want you to press your display adjust. So I've jumped from confined space entry. No questions there, right? All right. Press your display adjust button one time. All right. Do you see peak? What's your deck screen show? What's your screen show?
PID set to isobutylene.
Yeah,
All right,
set to
great.
isobutylene.
Press your enter button there. So this is where you change your VOC list.
Everything starts with A.
Mine says A, B, C, D, E, F.
But what it is, if it's an A, it's going to be an A. So ammonia.
Okay. So you go pick one.
To get that
But
check.
you pick ammonia, you're going into
Comes up to this.
This is this way. Change that.
So
Yeah.
hit this play. It comes up to the screen.
And we'll time out and go back to the main screen after time.
So alright, so that's A.
So RKI has printed this this here. It's over 600 compounds and their ionization potential and whether it will work or not with a 10.6 lamp. So the way you read it is it'll have an EV rating, and I can leave this or I can send it to you digitally. I can send you the whole presentation digitally if you want it. But the way you read this is you're going to look at a 10.6 column and it's going to tell you the EV correction factor for that specific molecule. Okay? The good thing is you used to have to figure it all out yourself, but now your unit will do it automatically for you if you go into this screen and select the gas. So it starts by the alphabet. So if I'm going to go to jet fuel, I'm going to go to J. I'm going to press the enter button. Then I'm going to go into the jet fuel, find the jet fuel I want, whether it's jet fuel A, whatever it may be. Make that selection. Then it'll be a one-to-one reading for that specific thing. All right? All right. Here are lots of beeps. We're going to try really hard not to screw this up. So we want to go back wherever you're at. We want to go back and choose I, and we want to go to isobutylene. Okay.
Just hit display and send it back to it.
Yeah, display will always back you up a screen. And then once you're on isobutylene, press your enter button. And tell me when you guys have set it to isobutylene.
Isobutylene.
Just regular isobutylene?
Yes, please.
That's isobutylene acetate.
You don't want that, you have to upgrade isobutylene.
Got it. Isobutylene. Enter.
So this is a common industry standard. If you don't know what you're going to be exposed to at the time, you calibrate with isobutylene and you leave your correction factor set up as isobutylene.
So that's why it shows 1.
Yes, because it's a one-to-one ratio because we calibrated it with isobutylene. Yes, yep, exactly. All right,
Alone at timeout.
so any questions on PID settings? All right, so let's get back out to our home screen again. You just keep pressing your display adjust button. I hope. Tell me if you're not there. Right back to our reading screen. Shows all our readings, right? We good? All right. Press your. If you press your display adjust button one time, you'll go back to that isobutylene screen or the PID screen. Press your Oh, you may have already set it in your isobutylene. Is everybody on stale right now? Short-term exposure limit. Is everybody on that screen? Shows stale.
We did something wrong.
Okay. Let's back all the way out again by pressing your display adjust. It might be set up differently.
So from the main screen.
I'm sorry, you got to go all the way around and press your display adjust. All right, press your display adjust until you go all through. You have to go through a circle, and then you'll be back at your instantaneous reading.
We are
The main screen.
all of
Main
the
screen.
areas. Okay. Now, if I hit it one time,
So you have to keep
there we go.
pressing
Now
your
hit
display
enter.
adjust
Now you're in
until you
there.
get back to your
Hit the display one time, enter one time.
instantaneous
and then
reading.
you can select it.
So you don't have to
Select
do
it.
much else.
What am I looking
Tell me
for?
if everybody back to where it's showing the readings instantaneously. Okay. All right, fantastic. So now you hit the display adjust button one time. Tell me what it shows.
PID
Now
set to
it's
isobutylene.
Set to isobutylene.
Okay, yeah, mine's set up for ammonia. All right, press the display adjust one more time. What's your screen?
Constant reading.
Does it say peak at the top?
I'm showing like the three.
They're showing the time weighted average.
Time weighted
They're
average.
TWA.
They're at peak or TWA?
They're
TWA.
TWA.
Okay, so your first screen wasn't peak. All right, TWA. I'll explain TWA and stale in just a second because I only have so long before it defaults out. Display adjust button one more time.
There it is.
All right, now it shows. So you're at peak, now you're at stale?
Now I'm at display.
That peak.
Okay. All right, if you press your display adjust one button one more time, you'll be at stale.
That.
Short-term exposure limit, I'm going to explain what those are in just a second. Now yours may be different than the rest of
Okay,
them.
I'm trying to get.
Press your display adjust one time.
So what do I
There's
do?
your peak one more time, stale. All right, press your display adjust one more time, it should take you to TWA.
What is it again?
Yep.
This one is what he's saying. STL.
Everybody see TWA? Next. Display adjust button one more time. Tell me what you're reading.
Alarm
Display
points.
alarm points.
Okay, so if I want to see what every channel was set up for, every alarm limit, I'd press enter, select watch sensor, and then I could go in and view any alarm limit. Alarm 1, Alarm 2, stale, and TWA. I'm talking fast because it times out if I don't. All right, display adjust button again. Screen.
Operation time.
All right, so it shows how long the unit's been in operation since you turned it on. Does it show the last runtime too?
No.
Just the one, the current one.
12 minutes.
Display again?
Okay. And let's press, everybody together, we good? Press display adjust again, please. What we got?
Date
Date
time.
and
Date, date and battery.
All right, is those date and times correct?
Mine says Monday.
Yes.
Yeah.
9:40.
You already set these up, because they won't come set, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So, display adjust button again, please. What we got?
Log remaining.
Right.
Okay, that tells you what kind of data logging we got, and I'll explain that in a second. Display adjust button again, please.
Log clear.
Log clear, that's how you can manually clear the log. Please never do that unless you actually download the information first, because if you don't, it's GONE, all right? It is run OFFT, run off. All right, so press your display adjust button one more time, please. What we got?
User ID.
Okay, I'll explain user and station ID in a second. Display adjust button again.
Station ID.
Display adjust button again.
Record data
Record data
display.
display.
Okay, all right, so that's receive data, record data, using snapshot data logging. So press your display adjust button again.
Peak bar.
Peak bar.
Okay, peak bar display adjust button again.
Gas
display.
Oh, gas display. All right, this chooses whether you want one sensor shown, two sensors shown, where you want it to automatically scroll or show all your readings simultaneously. Almost everybody has it all reading simultaneously. Display adjust button again, please.
Invert select.
All right, invert is where we turned it upside down, the display inverted. Okay, so we can change that setting here. Display adjust button again, please.
LEL sensor protection.
Okay, So we have an LEL feature on that. If it goes over 100% LEL, we show 100% LEL on the display, and we cut the voltage off to the Pellister. Because if you have extreme high concentrations of flammable gas, it will burn up that Pellister bead. All right, so it's to protect the LEL. All right, display adjust again, please. We're back to
All you
our.
gotta do is just keep hitting display.
It timed out.
Okay, that'd be it. So you can press your display adjust button until we get back there. Find out where we were at, which was the
Cat LEO.
LEL, and what's the next screen after that.
LCD background.
Okay, we can flip it from black to white, white to black.
Invert select, and then
LCD background.
protection,
LCD
LCD
background.
background. Yeah. And then that's it.
All right, everybody comfortable where we're at?
Check.
LCD background. All right, press your display adjust button one more time, please.
Main screen.
Main screen. All right, there's the loop. All right, so if we don't press a button within, I think it's 30 seconds, it automatically defaults and goes back to our home screen. These are what we call our real-time modes. That means I can view any of these modes just by pressing that display adjust button. What you got, a flow?
I put the little rubber thing back.
Okay, just press the reset button. Remember me talking about, hey, if it stops the voltage, you got to clear, say you've cleared the blockage. Okay, so our peak screen is exactly that. It's going to show our lowest volume of oxygen and our highest concentration of all of the gases, okay? Our STAIL, anybody know what STAIL stands for? Okay, that's an average of how long?
15 minutes.
Very good, there you go, STAIL. Short-term exposure limit as an average of over 15 minutes. So I'll explain that real quick. You guys will know this, you guys and ladies, please don't feel bad. I say guys. So, you folks will know this better than most people I go in and train, that if you're exposed to a toxic gas, it binds to your hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is what carries oxygen to your brain. So you can't take somebody out that's been carbon monoxide poisoned for 4 hours, just take them outside and clean fresh air, and they're all better. It takes time to saturate your hemoglobin, and it takes time to get that out of your hemoglobin, right? So what OSHA came up with, and they said if you can do a 15-minute average and an 8-hour average, you can have a higher instantaneous alarm. If you do not have the ability to have a STAIL and TWA calculation, you must set your instantaneous alarm to your TWA levels. Okay? So short-term exposure limit is 15 minutes. TWA is, what does that stand for?
Time weighted average.
And it is for? That's right. Do I have to have an instrument turned on for 15 minutes to get a STAIL alarm?
No.
Okay. Do I have to have an instrument turned on for 8 hours to get a TWA alarm?
No.
Okay. So let's go through the CO. Let's say our alarm limits, and I'm trying to talk fast. Please tell me if I'm talking too fast. Let's take CO, for example, and let's say it's 200 to 135. 200 instantaneous, 100 over 15 for STAIL, and 35 over 8 for TWA, right? All right, so if I have an average, let's forget about our instantaneous, if I have an average of 200 ppm, how long will it take me to have a STAIL alarm?
Just a couple minutes.
1 minute or just a minute?
Remember, my alarm's at 100 ppm for 15 minutes. If I say an average of 200 ppm, how long is it? How many?
15 minutes. 30 minutes.
7.5. That's right.
Okay.
We double our concentration, we cut our time in half.
That's
Right?
close.
Gold Star, man, you get the prize of nothing, but thank you for playing. All right, so now let's talk about TWA. 35.8, right? So if I say an average of 70 ppm, how long does it take me to have a
4.
TWA?
Aha!
Aha! All right, now we're on the right track. STAILs, TWAs. Got it.
You're gonna beat me
All right.
again. You're gonna beat me again.
All right, STAILs, TWAs. I told you I'd tell you about site and location ID. So you have the ability to program through your PC. You can say it's on engine 7 at station 3. You can say Bob has got it at Merck Enterprise. However you list in there, and every time you turn the instrument on, you can choose a safe station ID, site ID, and a location ID. Okay? That means anytime it data logs, it not only data logs the readings, but it stamps the site ID and the user ID to that data log portion. Okay? Some people like it, some people can't stand it, because if you got 300 different entries in there, you have to scroll through those 300 to find which one you want, okay, on initial startup. All right? Any questions on site and user ID?
Is that already set up in ours?
No, we got it. I mean, it's turned on to displays, but we haven't set, because they just installed the software.
So we'll just set them to each truck? I'm
Yes,
assuming?
that's
Station
what
and
the-
truck.
Station and truck.
All right, so we talked about the alarm set point screen that you can just press the enter and you choose what gas, you can see what the alarms are set at. We talked about the invert that was on there. Just turn it up, blah, blah, blah. We know what the runtime is, the battery, screen. Did I miss anything? You think of? All right, we're going to do a test here. So we have a visual vibrating and audible alarm on this instrument. So what I'd like for you to do, please, is whoever has the instrument in hand, I want you to take a deep breath, and I want you to exhale slowly over the pump inlet, okay? Until the unit goes into alarm. So you take the instrument, breathe into it, until your unit goes into alarm.
Slowly.
Come on, Misha. You can do it.
You may have to get a little closer to you there because it's got a lot of oxygen that's going in. All right, once you're in alarm, please press your reset button. She almost passed out. That's no, of course you're dead.
Misha.
All right, I believe in you.
Get close.
I got some real strong.
What's that
breath right there.
H2SO mean?